Hello and welcome everybody to True Remembrance. So last episode we got a flashback with the bartender Rook. Rook? Was that his name? God damn it, I always forget. And yeah, it was actually pretty interesting. Now this seems to be more serious though, judging by what we can see on the picture. And judging by the first sentence, this is again Black Iris, so let's assume it is for now. If we accept the premise, and we must, that killing a man's memory is equivalent to killing the man himself, then a memory site is the destroyer of worlds. Anneli was the one who wrote that. And I was the one who killed Anel... I think I called him Anelyi before. I'm not sure how you... Let's stick with Anelyi. I remember how heavy the gun felt in my hands. It was the weight of the world. I couldn't hold on to it. I let it all fall to the ground. A kitten came and curled up next to the wretched man, next to the fallen Alpha of Omegas. She started wailing. Okay, now I doubt it is Black Iris. On the other hand, Rook mentioned he was a madman back in the day, so who knows? It was piteous. The kitten turned toward me. Her eyes narrowed. She cried out. Just once. I could see the look on her face. She knew. And I knew. She was saying, "Get away from me." I don't know why. Not even to this day. I don't understand it. I couldn't take another step. Ohne Worte? That's German for without words. But why was that in German? I don't know, maybe in the Japanese original it was in German. Now who said that? Was that actually Black Iris? Like, was that actually... Huh. Well, I guess we'll get to know. La liked doing laundry when it was clear out like this. A nice sunny day was a rare thing indeed in this land of ice and snow, and she was certainly making the best out of it. I mean, she was bustling back and forth out there in the garden, hanging clothes out to dry, dancing about. A hint of a smile on her face even. I stood by the window and watched her for a while. She really did look like she was having fun out there. Good, good. I was about to turn away when she suddenly stooped over. I wondered if she had slipped on a patch of ice or something, but then she stood. She didn't seem hurt. But when she turned toward me, she was holding a puppy in her arms. She looked worried, real worried. She cradled the little creature as if it were the most valuable thing in the world. The puppy was in a bad shape, all right. It was limp and unresponsive in her arms. I watched as La gingerly made her way back inside. She was at my side before I even heard the door close. She looked like she was about to cry. I'm so sorry. I dropped a wet sheet, by accident, on this little one. And sure enough, there was a sheet billowing about on the ground outside. We'd have to take care of that sooner or later, but this puppy was going to have to take priority. It licked, rather it made a feeble attempt to lick, my fingers when I reached out to touch it. I shouldn't have, right? If I hadn't been doing laundry, then... We would have nothing to wear, and then we'd really be sorry. But how did you hurt it with laundry? Wait a minute, let me... we'd have to take a... But this puppy was going to add... Wait a minute. A wet sheet. How can you hurt a puppy with a wet sheet? Like, isn't sheet some kind of... Like a bed sheet or something? I don't think that can hurt a puppy, actually. Huh. In any case, this isn't your fault. Okay, I was already wondering. I picked a dry towel out from the laundry basket, wrapped the puppy up, and placed it back into the basket. Then I headed into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. Oh, good. We had some milk left. I poured some into a pan and started warming it up. I removed it from the heat before it started to boil, grabbed some bread, and came back to the living room. The puppy's eyes suddenly snapped open. Its black nose started twitching. Its tail started waging. It had freed itself from the towel and jumped out of the laundry basket by the time I had finished dunking the bread into the milk. La, Hold the puppy for a bit, will you?
Okay.
She did as I said. I don't think she had any idea what to make of the puppy's sudden vigor. Meanwhile, I waited for the milk to cool down. After a minute or two, I dipped a finger into the pan. Good, not scalding anymore. This would do. I put it down on the floor. All right, you can let go now. Oh, that's new music. Oh, great. Like, I think I already mentioned that in episode 3 or 4 or something. But the music is really a little bit repetitive. Like, my only minor complaint. The puppy jumped off of her lap at the moment she let go. It made a beeline for the pan and started demolishing its meal. Of course, La couldn't take her eyes off the puppy the entire time. It was probably just hungry. Remind you of somebody, huh? La scowled at me briefly, but she couldn't stay mad at me for long. Soon enough, a little smile came to her face as she watched the puppy lapping up the milk. By the way, very cute picture. Sorry, I was just lost in thoughts. But it's actually, like, I personally think La's design overall is so interesting. Like that, the creator actually went full way through with giving her only, like, dark colors. I mean, it totally makes sense, like, because she has the dolor, and she is depressed. I mean, I guess that is, the dolor is the equivalent to depression in the real world, I guess. So it kind of makes sense from the character design standpoint. Still, I don't know, it's so simple, and yet I really dig it. Like, I really dig it. It represents her so well. The dark colors, the kind of formal clothes she's wearing, and at the same time her face is, like, really expressional for the fact that it's, like, really simply drawn. I love it, really, I love it. Bread and milk, is that good enough? Well, proper dog food would have been better. But we don't have any, so this will have to do. And you've had pets before? Why do you ask? Well, you look like you know what you're doing, as if you've done this before. I had a cat once. A kitten. Really cute little girl. She went her own way before long, though. Wait a second. Lars suddenly reached out and grabbed something on the puppy's neck. The puppy, of course, was too busy wolfing down what must have been its first meal in days to notice. A collar, and on it, a gold-plated nameplate. So, this is someone's pet. Can you make anything out? Jackal. So, that's his name. How wonderful. Wait, there's something else. An address, on 7th Street. 7th Street? He came all the way from there? No wonder he's in this condition. His meal obviously finished, Jackal came ambling toward where La was sitting on the living room floor. He turned around a couple of times and finally curled up with his head on her lap. He closed his eyes and settled into a contented sleep. His owner's probably a girl. Such a pushy little guy, don't you think? Maybe, but his owner's probably worried sick. Probably looking for him. Can we go? Take him to 7th Street? Sure. If we keep him here, he'll end up eating everything in the house anyhow. We'll get going once he wakes up. And so we waited. I sat in a chair and read a book. La, on the other hand, sat motionless on the ground, as if she did not wish to disturb the dog's sleep. Soon enough, Jackal rolled a little and started shuddering. La looked up at me as if she had no idea what to do. He's still half asleep, that's all. Give him some time. Really? Doesn't seem that way. By now, La had started shuddering herself. But Jackal finally opened his eyes with a big yawn. Then he got to his feet. After a long, leisurely stretch, he looked up at us, with an unmistakable grin, and I didn't read that, and a waging tail. Still, I forgot to look up what waging is. I guess like something like wiggle, but I'm not 100% sure. Alright, let's go. Wait, do they allow pets on the trolley? No, they didn't, as a matter of fact. Which meant we were going to have to hoof it. We're going on a walk?
Oh, how nice, huh, Jekyll?
I looked at the two of them. They were quite the sight. I didn't know who looked happier. God damn it, what is it with my itchy trigger finger? That's probably because of the gun talk in the beginning. Man, I never had a gun in my hands in my life. Except for plastic toys, I guess. Who looked happier about this turn of events, Jekyll or La? Usually this kind of exuberance would annoy me, but for some reason not today. I shrugged. What could I do after all? I attached a leash onto Jack's collar, and then we all walked out the door together. Huh. Well, I guess you just have a leash lying around. Okay, I'll accept it. Now I had the leash in the very beginning, but La kept looking at me so enviously that I had to hand it over. Although the way Jekyll was surging ahead now, there was some doubt as to who was walking whom. I thought he's a puppy. La, keep your eyes on the road, otherwise you'll bump into something.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so we walked along. Rather, I walked along. La was pulled and dragged this direction and that. You know how they say that sometimes with pets it's hard to know who owns whom? In this case, the relationship was obvious. A large percentage of people in town kept pets. This made sense. Most of us were memory sites, living our solitary lives. Companionship was always welcome, no matter whether it was furry or scaled or finned. Still, I thought there was something terribly wrong with this. Why was it that pets were more welcome than people here in this walled garden, frozen with dolor and ice? Good question, actually. Like, I mean, the system in your world is really fucked up anyhow. Like, it's like a camp they had in the medieval time for lepra patients. Do you call it lepra in English too? If you don't call it lepra, I'll put up the real name in English right now. But I guess you also call it lepra. Well, anyway, a very, very bad disease in medieval times, and yeah, these seem like these camps out of the normal cities, like a special place only for these people with a dollar. Like, this is really messed up, kinda. 7th Street was an urban promenade, filled with narrow streets lined by tall buildings. We memory sites lived in these apartment complexes when we were off duty. Here and on 5th, where I had my place. When it came time to take a guest, we were given a more spacious residence for the duration of that assignment. Now, La had never seen this place before. Usually, she'd skip along, taking in the sights and sounds at her own pace. There wasn't any chance of that today. Jekyll was all over her. A woman, probably a memory site, on her way back from grocery shopping stopped to watch the spectacle. I could hear her giggling softly as we walked by. It took us roughly an hour to find the address that had been written on Jekyll's collar tag. We located the apartment number in the doorside directory and pressed the corresponding buzzer, but no one answered.
Maybe no one's home. Now what?
Well, we can't just leave Jekyll here and go home. We'll have to try again later.
Okay. I'm sure the owner's worried.
Hopefully. Hopefully it isn't not like an owner who just threw his dog out or something. Like, there are people... this is like really a thing I can't understand. Like, I don't know what it's like in your country, but in Germany it's pretty easy. Like, giving a dog away. And then, like, in a... Oh god, I don't know what it's called in English now. Ah, god damn it. Already the second time in this episode. But like a place where stray cats and dogs and all animals will be sent to new homes and stuff. And it's pretty easy to give your dog to this place, and then these people find a new home for it. Like, why do you put him somewhere in nowhere, like tie his leash to a pole and then leave him be or something like that? It's stupid. La looked hard at the buzzer one last time and then turned away, as did Jekyll. It was still such a nice day out, so we ended up walking all the way to Cafe Aroma on 6. I could hear voices coming from inside. Now that was unusual. But then, when I listened a bit more closely, I realized, oh, Rook was just listening to the radio.
Welcome. Hey, man. You heard about what's been going on? Bad news, yo. Bad news.
Rook turned to me with a troubled expression on his face, gesturing at the radio all the while. Why, what happened?
Should have known you had no idea. An anarchist group claims they planted a bomb at HQ. Now everyone was evacuated, so no real harm done, but still, man.
An anarchist group?
They aren't even worthy of that label. Just a bunch of selfish idiots with too much time on their hands, I'm telling you. We ought to do the world a favor and kill them all.
Strong words. I had never seen him this upset before. Also kind of ironic, given what he'd told me of his past. La was standing at the door, unsure of whether she ought to come in or not. That was considerate of her. After all, most restaurants didn't allow pets inside.
Oh, hey La. Wait, the dog. You know him? No, never seen him before. It's just, a customer of mine lost a dog a couple of days ago. Mixed breed, black fur. First fits the description, don't you think?
Talk about finding clues in the strangest places. La's face suddenly lit up. She strode into Aroma with a spring in her step and with Jekyll at her heels.
This customer, a regular, coming today perhaps? Who knows? Usually comes round in the evening, see? We went over to the owner's apartment. No one home. Ha! You went during business hours, didn't ya? No wonder. Probably still at work or something.
And is this a memory site?
Apparently. Didn't prime much, though, if you know what I'm saying.
Rook deftly placed a bowl of water in front of Jekyll and lunch in front of us.
Yo, you mind if I keep him for a bit?
Fine with me. Rook really did look eager to help, and this would free me up from having to dog sit. But why was he doing this? I didn't know that he liked dogs.
See the owner. She's this pretty little lady, worried to death about her dogs, see? So if I can be of any assistance...
Oh, no. It wasn't that he liked dogs. It was that he was a horned dog. How could I forget? Anyway, it was a done deal. Rook took Jekyll, and we took in lunch. After we finished, it was time for us to leave. La clearly didn't want to leave Jekyll behind, but she knew that it was better this way. So she patted him on the head gently before heading out the door. Jekyll closed his eyes with bliss, and as we walked down Styx on our home way, I felt him watching us, or rather La, from the window. Obviously, she had made a new friend. Huh. Now I wonder if the dog owner actually comes around to Rook's pub or whatever it is. I guess it's a cafe. I'm always saying bartender and pub and stuff like that, but it's actually a cafe. I know that. I don't know, like... He's so much like a bartender, you know. The way he behaves, the way he talks, you automatically assume bartender, kinda. The next time we went shopping... Oh, I actually wanted to talk. I wonder if the dog owner actually comes around. Or if we come back tomorrow to the cafe and the dog is still there. And we have to find the owner or something like that. The next time we went shopping, there were newsboys in the streets, waving their papers about and yelling at the top of their lungs. How unusual, I thought. Since when does our little town have anything worth writing about? I bought the paper on a whim, and it turned out another bomb. This time it was a public park on 4th Street. According to the article, the same anarchist group of the HQ bomb incident was to blame. And speaking of HQ, there was a general proclamation from the higher ups next to the article. It wasn't anything I hadn't already heard 1,000 times over. Take extra care. Protect your guests. Report any suspicious activity immediately. Wasn't this all SOP anyhow? Why reiterate it at this hour? What point would that serve? La peeked over my shoulder and read along with me. She looked kind of worried, actually.
I wonder, what do they want?
Hard to say. This much is certain. Either memory sites are behind this, or we have people who snuck in pretending to be guests. Either way, it isn't good news.
A park. Lots of people. Is that what they want? To shake us up? To hurt us?
Well, I really don't want to be political and stuff like that. But especially with all that shit that went down in Paris, not too long ago. This is always the thing I never got. Like, history is full of acts of violence and stuff like that. It isn't something new or we have never experienced before. Even though if you know my Let's Plays, you know I'm a peaceful person. I mean, I get angry all the time, or at least sometimes. But at my core, I'm a very peaceful person. I couldn't harm anybody. And I never understood violence like this in the first place. But especially I can't understand what the purpose is of attacking civilians. Like if you have a political goal and you attack, I don't know, a politician or an economy boss or something like that. I mean, it's not right, but I can see where it's coming from, you know? And this is just like, this is so... You can't understand it, you know? It's not only that it is not totally not right, it's also that you cannot even understand it. It's just horrible. Any kind of violence is horrible. Interesting. I had never seen La this upset before, especially given the fact that the article didn't make any mention of anyone being killed or wounded. Well, if they wanted to shake us up, they have certainly succeeded in that. Hard to believe that there's someone out there who'd sneak into this town just to blow stuff up. It wasn't just us. The entire country was shaken by the news, probably. Which meant there was a massive manhunt going on, even as we stood on the street and read the newspaper. And that is also now I'm really getting too political, and I don't want to be too political. But the thing was, they hadn't caught the perpetrators the first time around either. How was I to have much confidence they'd succeed this time around? For that matter, how was I to have much confidence that someone at HQ wasn't feeding information to the terrorists? Ah man, you can never know, that's true. We headed over to Aroma once our shopping was done. I opened the door and came face to face with a woman who was obviously just about to leave. Oh, Jesus, I totally forgot you. Now that I look at it, she doesn't look all that much like Black Iris. I started stepping back so she could get out. But she was faster than I was and squeezed past me in the blink of an eye. In fact, her motions were so brisk that she actually did bump into me fairly hard on her way out. Now, it wasn't forceful enough to knock me over or anything. Far from it. But I remember feeling something not quite right touch my arm. Which was why I just thrust my hands into my coat pockets and stood there in front of Aroma for a bit. Black Iris? Is something wrong? Did you have a gun or what? La asked, obviously wondering why I wasn't going in already. Oh no, it's nothing, I replied with a smile. Rook was washing dishes when we walked in. He turned and shook his head slightly when he saw who we were. Should have come a bit earlier, kids. Ozona was here up till a few minutes ago, you see. No kidding. So she's the one I bumped into on the way in. Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, she said she'd wanted to thank you in person, so I gave her your current address. She told me she'd be coming around your place in the evening. Alright. We took our usual seats at the counter. There was a manila envelope sitting there. La eyed it for a second.
Think this is hers?
More than likely. Not a very organized person, is she? First she loses her dog, and now she's leaving her stuff around everywhere. La picked up the envelope and gave it to me. I put it in my pocket. If that woman really was going to come over later tonight, I might as well give it to her then. Besides, I had bigger fish to fry at the moment. Hey Rook, that lady, does she come here often?
Huh? Yeah, she's been coming every day for an entire week now. Know what the weird thing is though? Today's the first time I've seen her at this hour. She always stops by at night, right before closing time.
Every day? And I wonder, perhaps she isn't on assignment right now. If she were, then there's no way she would come here alone. Rook stopped washing mugs for a moment. He turned and nodded.
Yeah, guess you're right.
I wonder why she comes this often.
You're gone loco, man. To eat, obviously.
And to hook up with me.
Alright, all jokes aside. She's probably just lonely or something.
Lonely?
You know, man, not everyone likes being all alone like you do. In fact, most of us prefer the opposite, thank you very much. Besides, if you're not on an assignment, you're totally free. Nothing to do, not one to talk to. Makes sense that someone in that position would come to a place like this, don't you think?
Perhaps.
Come on, Black Iris. Get with the program here. Don't you know what goes on in the heart of a lonely woman?
No, and I don't want to know either. I said with a sigh and a wry smile. La, on the other hand, well, let's just say that she was eating up every single thing Rook was saying. Like a bad romance story, huh? I mean, the way her eyes were sparkling, I knew he had her hook, line and sinker. And I hoped that nothing strange would come out of this. You know your customer well.
Well, yeah, of course. Aside, she's quite the looker and... Actually, there's something kinda odd about her.
He trailed off at this point and went on polishing mugs, staring at the door all the while. No matter what I said or I did, I couldn't get him to say anything further. Ha ha ha! So I assume since both storylines fall into one thing, she probably has something to do with the terrorists, I guess? I don't know. Who could know? But I guess we'll have to find out next episode, because I'm going to finish it here. So thank everybody for watching. Come back for the next episode to see what the mystery lady actually has to do with anything. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.